Welcome to CVM Stories, the podcast on customer value management. Together, we explore how companies can be more successful and the customers happier through the use of latest customer value management techniques. Learn key commercial and analytical insights from telecoms, retail, finance, and other industries that drive CVM forward.
Hi, I'm your host, Egle. Today, our guest is Egle Baradinskiene, a head of analytical solutions at Egle. Egle has implemented over 40 next best offer solutions around the world, so we invited her to share her lessons learned. Egle is an amazing person and a great professional, so I'm super happy to share her story with you.
CVM Stories is produced by Egle. We help companies take their customer value management to the next level. To stay updated on our latest episodes, subscribe to the podcast or sign up for an email newsletter at execaster.com/CVM Stories.
So, Egle, hi.
Hi.
It's really good to have you here. And let's get from the introduction part. Egle, could you tell me a bit about what you actually do? What is your role at Egle?
Okay. So it is a pleasure to be here, firstly. And I am head of analytical solutions. My main responsibility is to build an analytical solution that would be data-driven, automated. Usually, as Egle works basically with telcos, so all of the solutions that would bring additional value for business in telco sector. My main focus is next best offer recommendation, where we try to gather, calculate, provide the next best offer for the end customer of the telco.
Okay, sounds kind of like a lot of area to cover. What does inspire you the most in your role?
Most probably the numbers, the customers, the clients, I mean like telco clients, and the success of the projects, let's say like that. So I really love my job when I need to get insights from data and use these insights for some, analytical process or data-driven process later on. So I like crunching numbers.
So tell me more. What was your path to your role? When did the number crunching start?
Actually, at school, I have very low, let's say, very poor memory. So math is quite good because there you don't need to remember a lot of things if you understand. So I was quite successful at school. I had quite good teachers there, and I ended in a good form with numbers, And basically later on, I joined university. Also studied econometrics, which is a branch from mathematics also. Then masters. I also started PhD studies, still working on that. And my first job was really not number related. I was trying to sell sausages at supermarkets. Very tough job. But there actually you can touch and see how the clients behave in that particular area, sausages area. Then I turned to coffee market, and my responsibility was like a manager, sales agent. I was trying to sell coffee for cafeterias. But you imagine that all open cafeterias already have coffee, and it was a very, very challenging job because there you need to find particular moment of time when the cafeteria or just opens or before even opening, or they have some kind of issue with the current provider. So this something like NBO happened there in my life, because you need to find the best timing and best offer for the client to join that market, which is really not expecting you to come. And then I was working in multiple data analytic areas in different markets. So from consultancy, from pharmacy, retail, and then I end up here at Execaster. I started as a data analyst, then I became a mentor of group of analysts. Then I got outsourced team of the client. We were delivering projects, and now I am head of analytical solutions. So great place to grow at Execaster.
Okay, so I assume you have a really broad spectrum of different experiences. What did those experiences actually give to your current role? So remember you said I was selling sausages and I had a customer-facing time. What did you learn from there?
So it is important, if vegetarian comes to you, most probably sausage is not the best product to sell. Additionally, I don't know how it is called in English, but we have these special periods of time before Christmas and before Easter's. I really hate that time because during them you cannot eat meat, or at least you need to limit them a lot. So there I received a lot of feedback from religious elder women that I should not do this job. So and the selling experience actually, how to say, I feel the salespeople in telco who needs to sell something, and when they're selling not relevant things during not particular good timing at life, then this effort goes, to rubbish bin.
Okay. So you mentioned that you are now you're head of analytics. You're also a PhD student. I know that you're a mom as well.
Yeah.
Lots of things happening. So how do you refresh yourself? What do you do to regain your energy?
So I have made very good investment a couple of years ago, and I bought a big hot tub and I have it in the garden. So that's the huge refreshment. When I go there, I relax. But of course, I have some other activities that cuts off me of thinking how to solve things all the time. So I dance solo Latino dances, and I love raising animals. I was joking with my husband, he's my stopper of buying all of the animals and bringing to home. So I said, if I will be alone when I will be very old, let's say, hopefully that will never happen, I will get 10 dogs, 20 cats, millions of rats and birds and so on and so forth. And my apartment will be a small zoo. So that's me.
Okay, so you're a huge animal lover. So,
yeah.
so what's your pet right now?
I have a few of them, of course. I have a dog. I have 2 pigeons, and I have 2 aquariums. And sometimes I take care of guinea pig also. So.
Okay, so it's like pretty much a mini zoo.
Super mini zoo, yeah.
Okay. So I think it's a good time to start moving towards our main topic, yeah. So I know that you are super experienced in next best offer field. There's a legend that you have deployed maybe 40 projects of next best offer around the world. So it's like a good, I think you are one of the best persons to ask some tough questions. Okay?
Yes, yes.
So, but I will start from a very simple question.
Okay.
So what is the NBO and what is it about?
So NBO is next best offer. Next best offer meaning a great balance between business, customer, and let's say technical capabilities, let's say like that. So for the client, of course, next best offer must appear when you need something, and here you go, right? So that's the offer, and that particular offer may be of multiple things, like new package, new plan, new device, new service, maybe insurance or whatever. But it is very important to be relevant for the client and communicating it at the right time. And when I'm saying the balance between client and business, meaning that the business must gain somehow benefit of it. So if we would always communicate the offers that clients are taking, accepting, so then the revenue comes automatically for the telco business in this case. And the technological aspect or data aspect, so we want to do everything everywhere perfectly, but there are some kind of limitations that are coming from or technical setup or data part or channels and so on and so forth.
Okay, so let's imagine that you are a telco and you have deployed the most perfect possible next best offer solution. So could you draw us a picture? How does this perfect solution look like? Or implementation, the perfect implementation, perfect result. How does it look like?
If you want to understand, you want to know the perfect NBO from telco perspective. So if I would run telco and I would be a CEO, I would think about, okay, I push the button and everything is automatically done, I don't need to take care about things, so everything runs smoothly. And money starts to fall down. I just need to wipe them into my pocket. So I assume that telco understands NBO like this. But as I said, this is like the target, okay? But we have other dimensions which also must be included in this part. So this is like a customer perspective. So yeah.
If we take from telco perspective, it's like it's pretty clear. Less work, more revenue, more ARPU, more happy customers.
Yeah.
But what is the NBO experience from customer perspective? How do customers feel when a great NBO is deployed?
So imagine the situation that you enter the restaurant and you find a hot plate in front of you with your preferred dish for this particular dinner, with the drink that you like most, and it is, let's say, compatible with the dinner. So this how NBO should look like from the customer perspective. But if we would go to very, very detailed, so for example, if I would be a prepaid subscriber and I end up with my data bucket, and for example, I even had this experience, like I end up with data and I have no internet and I cannot even refill, without internet, and I'm in the middle of nowhere. So basically this is like an opposite of NBO part. So from telco perspective, the NBO would be fluent path, fluent customer journey to actually get an offer. So basically see the menu, get the particular menu point where I should pay attention to, right? And I would just need to click and everything goes like automatically without any technical, let's say, limitations.
So from all the experience that you went through, you obviously have seen kind of successes and failures. When the success happens from the telco perspective, what kind of, let's say, good results have you seen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I always, in my career, I also had some ups and downs, and there were some moments of time where I said, okay, so why do we need this NBO? So agent can think about the offer. Clients are quite clever also, right? So they know how much they can pay and how much they are using. But I've participated in one of the projects, and we started with initial analysis, and that client actually had launched NBO, and that NBO was running a couple of years already. So we tried to review if we can improve it or change it or upgrade to other technology stack. And I found out that, okay, so the strategy was clear and it was working just because, everything was aligned with that strategy. So all of the channels were informed what is happening and what are the targets and so on and so forth. And for the segment that client was particularly working, that activity actually was happening. So that was okay. So maybe NBO has some, background to proceed further. So that was one of the best examples. As an outcome, telco had very low churn rate of that customer base.
What is a low churn rate definition?
Very good question. We could discuss like hours and hours, but I say that the low churn rate is pretty much close to the death ratio. But that's true, right? So we are losing people because they are clients. So that if you are very close to the death ratio, you are at a very good position. Coming back to the KPI, so the churn rate was super low, and as I said, the strategy was consistent, and the users were increasing the ARPU, and that increase was quite significant. And the main idea behind that the offers would be very good for clients, right? So they would get a deal like a good bargain. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was good. And we could say, okay, so maybe that was some kind of market situation and so on and so forth. And we were analyzing other segment of the same client, and they did not have any NBO running. And there was like a mess, actually. Mm-hmm. Actually, an opposite activity was happening in the customer base. Then it was defined for that particular very good segment with which the company was working.
Okay. So basically, if you do the really, really good job, you could expect low churn rates, bigger ARPU, probably more happier customers.
Yes, true.
Your measure of, let's say, low churn rate still is kind of a really challenging definition. But I think it makes sense.
It's close. You should not. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. Well, when I talk to people and I say that we need to think about next best offer, etc. First question that I get is, so what is your AI algorithms behind an NBO? And my key question is the AI algorithms the only answer why NBO processes succeed, or is it something more?
Mm. So AI is definitely a trend. It is if you use AI or you can make AI, you already step up, somehow you become fancy data scientist and so on and so forth. AI, of course, may be incorporated in some particular areas of the NBO. But as with all of the information, the AI must be used carefully. It does not work like you put data and miracle happens. Never, it does not work like this. So even the inputs that you include need let's say they need to bring information what you want to extract from them. So there are no miracles in the world. Sorry, kids. And AI, we have experience actually when clients are using AI in not the best way, and actually they experience failure. So the AI may be used as a part of the solution. Why? Because firstly, AI is learning from the past. They cannot, project the future. They are not this AI based on algorithm, based on previously available data. So if we want to make a change, digital transformation, we expect to see the change, right? And if we keep on projecting the same trend that was happening before, that would not be really a good outcome. So this is from the mathematical perspective part. Then all of the algorithms may not include the business strategy, what we want to do with this particular very good segment that one of the clients we're working with.
Could we make a brief pause here? So you're saying, okay, AI algorithms might not include the business strategy. What do you mean by saying business strategy? Like, could you give us some examples to better relate to that?
Okay. So, for example, me as a CEO or marketing CMO, right? I think, okay, we need to sell new service. And we, all of the telco invest in, let's say, new service type, like mobile broadband or broadband overall, like fixed service, which requires a lot of investment. And when this investment is done, let's say we want to sell, right? New services, of course, we want to get good ROI from this investment. And but the AI says, no, you need to upsell current plan of voice, for example, service. So this may be a very good example that AI cannot contribute in this area. Or even if you start selling this broadband and you still do not have enough history from where to learn, right? So you cannot even predict that this service for the client would be relevant at this particular moment.
Yeah, okay, I got you. So I guess there are even more situations, like I know we're launching new handset or new device. There's no history to learn from, or we are just kind of trying to introduce new products, like saying, hey, we have those IoT devices and there is no history to learn, etc. Okay. So moving further, so I assume that AI algorithms are really important in this NBO process, but they are way more kind of areas that we need to cover. Could you go through some of the areas that we need to touch when we are building next best offer solution? And what are the challenges there?
Okay. So by building this NBO, next best offer solution, I have in mind all the time end-to-end, full scope, big project, which involves pretty much all organization of the telco. So firstly, we start most probably with the question, so why do we need this NBO, right? So we need actually to collaborate with the ones who are interested in business results. So maybe CIO, CMO, we need to get a place where to play, right? So we need to include CTO, right, to have data available, so maybe a BI team or, I don't know, a data warehouse team also is included here. And of course, in each of these points, we may face a lot of struggles. The data quality, for example, or technological capacity, their misalignment of the strategy, what CIO, CMO, and CTO wants, right, from this project. and sales managers or directors. Then we go with the data, fine. Then we go with the, let's say, insights or solution, what we want to do with these clients, what we're offering, what are the priorities, should we offer this or another type of services. Then when we go deeper to a particular offering, like picking up particular offers for the client, we end up with a product management team because we need to align on the offer catalog, structure, type of the offers, steps in the offers, meaning like what kind of price steps there, price points there, and how long it takes to create new offers, can they create new offers, and so on and so forth. Then channels, of course, so outbound communication, inbound communication, is it separate, is it the same? Are we aligned in the offering? Do we discriminate any kind of the channel? How these offers are exposed? Is it enough to have like description of the offer, or we need to provide a lot of details there? Offer activation then, okay, so we expose the offer, what to do then, how agents can activate that offer easily and avoid manual, let's say, activation part. And then if everything goes very smoothly and fluently, it never ends up. The NBO is a lifetime project, and actually when you launch it, if you solved all of the let's say issues down the road, you need update, upgrade, change, because the business priorities change, offer catalog change, the clients may change, the market may change, and so on and so forth. So we make a loop and then start over again, over again, and over again.
So you make it sound very complicated. But before kind of saying that, no, it's not complicated at all, maybe let's go one step deeper, okay? So you touched based on many areas, because as you said, next best offer project, it's like there's the AI part, and then there's the rest of the organization.
Yeah.
Needs to be aligned, yeah. So let's say I have the greatest recommendation algorithms for my next best offer, and they need to be fed with the data. Yeah. So what are the most common, let's say, challenges that you fall in when you start working with next best offer recommendations? You kind of knock on BI's team door and say, "Hey, I'm Egle. I am bringing up AI algorithms and give me the data." So can you elaborate a bit more on good examples, bad examples?
So when I knock to BI doors and I say, I need data, oh, of course we have data. No problem, say no more. But when we dig deeper in that data, we see that sometimes it is fragmented, sometimes it is even impossible to retrieve. And it may be quite silly, but that's quite a normal situation. And sometimes while dealing with the clients, they seem to feel quite shy. Oh, we do not have this or that attribute. So that's normal. That's really normal. Don't worry, we will work out somehow, right? So so to AI algorithm, you cannot say, okay, so we will skip this part, we will skip this part, but please forecast it with the best accuracy. But in the other ways of solving this NBO, it is possible, you know. So
what are the commonly most difficult data points that you try to get, but usually it's like a mess? You
cannot believe, but actually, I will really be honest here, but actually it is usually a problem for telco to know how much the user is paying for their tariff plan, how much data they are providing in the tariff plan. And I'm not joking, really, this is like quite a complicated part, and this complication happens because usually the systems do not work together, and this combination of information, sometimes we do it, let's say, not in the nicest way just to get the result, but so it seems like the simplest information sometimes is missing. And actually one experience from telco, I was very, very surprised. They are using AI, especially in the NBO project, the process, and they were using a lot of very complicated for telco to retrieve data, like how big the household, what is the expected revenue there, and so on and so forth. But they cannot say how much of data they have, So that's an interesting case.
So for me, it sounds like, hey, let's do the offer recommendation, but we don't know what customer has right now. But this is, I assume this is a normal situation.
Normal.
The billing system changes, CRM changes, etc. It's like a really huge challenge. If we continue on the offer part, so the other super important part is offer catalog itself. So what are kind of the important aspects about offer catalog when you start working with Next Best Offer?
So first, well, there are a lot of things what must be considered. So first things, most probably, what are your strategy? What is your strategy there? So, for example, you need to think about if you will discriminate or know your client base or some channels. So maybe for the same data points, you may or you may not have different price points. So this is like a strategic understanding. What do you want to do with this offer catalog, like with your client base, actually? And then, so this important thing, another important thing is how big the steps are in the offer catalog. So the price steps, the content steps, how much data increasing it. And actually, there may be even more dimensions on which you can play with. For example, in the prepaid sector, the packages may have different durations and so on and so forth. So what is important is actually in the offer catalog to make sure that we do not have so-called gaps, like very big steps. And another thing is to, let's say, program the offer catalog in a way that the client would be incentivized to purchase bigger package. Let's say that would be a good deal automatically, So that most probably would be two most important things.
So basically, that the offer catalog is kind of has quite a lot of choices with the reasonable steps between the offers itself. And so you get this information, you put, let's say, this offer or those offers, the metadata into recommendation process. So you build those recommendations, and now you need to sell them, to show them to the clients. I assume that the other part is all about kind of how well is the offer catalog integrated with your touch points, channels, etc. Could you elaborate a bit more on this part?
Yeah, so depending on the type of the channel, we may face different complexities, let's say. So, for example, in the SMS, it is very simple, right? So you just write what you want to offer and that's it. But, for example, in the email, you most probably would like to integrate, or even with the SMS, of course, maybe you would like to integrate with your self-service platform. And when you click on this self-service platform, most probably you would like to see the same offer that you have just communicated via email and SMS. So these integrations require quite a lot of consistency, right? And as I said previously, it must be quite comfortable for client actually to reach and to be able to purchase that offer. So this process is some kind of push process when I send SMS or email, and then client can do everything self-service. So that would be the perfect solution for this kind of communication. We have another type of communication where client reach the agent in the shop or in the call center, e-commerce center, or the call center is calling proactively to the client. There also, different type of visibility must be available. And for the agent, it is very important to have very clearly displayed information about the offer. It would be most probably very good to get the reasoning why he needs to offer this particular offer for the client. And for the agent, it must be also very easy to activate it, basically with one button click. So, I think the challenges is to balance, to design the communication flow, to distinguish type of the channels, so what to do in the inbound, outbound, proactive, reactive communication, and so on and so forth. So that requires some design skills, let's say like that.
I might ask a super stupid question.
Sure.
But why are we talking about offer integration in the channel, especially from NBO perspective?
That I do not have an answer, because just without it, it won't work. So if you do not have the offer, for example, if the agent is not receiving a precise recommendation and finds the recommendation somewhere hidden in the 5th page of his CRM system, that will not work. So most probably he will not reach that offer and he will not suggest anything. Another example also, if we are sending SMS, and say, okay, buy an offer. Okay, where, how, right? So these are like very natural questions that we should not raise for the clients. They need, just click and that happens. Did I answer to your very good question?
Yeah, I think you answered. Over my career, I have seen several situations where we would kind of analyze the existing NBO process. We would see like the conversions are very low or not happening. It's like something is really bad happening, etc. And then what we understand is like the offers are not shown in the channel. So we are optimizing those AI algorithms a lot, and it's like nothing happening,
Yeah. Sometimes very small changes, in the process may bring huge effort. I may one very stupid also example. Actually, I experienced that. My kids have, phones, and we use prepaid just to control their expenses. And we have set up an automatical recharge on a monthly basis, because this is what we can do in our bank,
Yeah.
And my kid is out of package, he cannot call, he cannot write SMS, nothing. And we say, why? Because it was out of balance. And what is the interesting situation? The package is valid for 30 days. And I have scheduled the transaction on a calendar base. So some months have 30 days, some months has 31 days. And this is like, it seems very, very stupid, right? But really uncomfortable. So we wait till February to get a correction, and to catch up with the monthly transactions, which seems to be quite strange, but not always very obvious, outside.
These are kind of super important points about the channels. We didn't touch the agents part as well. When we launch next best offer, when we deliver the offer to the channel, what other steps are needed to be done?
Agents. If I have a few minutes to share one very great story, actually funny story. We built a device NBO for one of the clients, and I had one of the tasks was to go and to train the call center agents about the new NBO, how it works, and what kind of benefits they will receive if they will use this NBO. And they were actually sleeping all of the presentation, and I am not joking. So the people in the process are very important. And if they do not understand why they need to use this, if they are not incentivized, let's say, somehow to use this recommendation, if they are quite clever and they were working as a sales agent, not the first month, most probably they could say, okay, I know better. Mm-hmm. I will do it by myself. I don't need to extract any recommendations, and I will not open that 5th page in the CRM system, right, to offer something. So this is one thing, that the agents must be somehow, motivated to try. And if that fails, okay, send feedback, that does not work. So data people can work out, what is not working and find out the reasoning. Because at the end, when we see just low conversions, it may not bring a direct insight what's wrong. So this is one thing. And with agents, I had another thing, but forgot to tell now.
From my perspective, what I could also add is like agents, they actually have the best data about the clients because they are in the conversations,
True.
And one of the most common kind of things that usually teams miss is incorporating the agent's feedback directly to the algorithm because
True.
They have all the kind of full understanding of why client purchased something or does not purchase something. And this feedback is actually crucial for a success.
And I remember the second point about the motivation of these agents. And AI usability. So for example, if we are forecasting the probability that the client is going to purchase something, and it is not really matching the real story. So these poor agents need to call like 100 times, and only 1 or 2 clients actually finally accepts the offer. So I remember myself working in this coffee
sales
business, let's say sales, and I experienced pretty much the same. So that is quite, disappointing process, which requires a lot of effort.
Okay, so imagine that now a company is actually trying to launch a new NBO process. What would be your advice for the company to make sure that this project has the biggest chance of success?
So most probably my first advice would be step by step. Do small improvements, launch something, try, measure, come back, improve, and grow the project and this initiative, let's say, step by step. Because as we discussed, there are a lot of things that need to be considered during the project. So even launching quite simple process requires a lot of effort. Mm-hmm. So instead of building spaceship that will never go from the ground, let's start with a paper plane, which you can throw, and it works pretty much very quickly. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that would be.
So now I'm throwing that paper plane for the first time, and I feel like I'm done. Yeah, but if I understand correctly, the journey is just starting. So
Yeah.
what about the operations of Next Best Offer?
So the operation, so of course this loop somehow must be created. Launch, track how this paper plane flies, and improve. Find out the gaps, the issues, the problems, and fine-tune overall process. So better data quality monitoring, better communication channel monitoring, and overall the quality of the recommendations, new offers, incorporations, and so on and so forth. So that is quite, again, we would need to go through the same building blocks and take into consideration where something could be wrong or better, So adding additional wings to this paper plane, or throwing 2 paper planes at the same time, and so on and so forth.
So when you launch NBO process in production, with 100% probability, you will have failures in the production.
Yes.
So what are the most common challenges there? So I don't know. You need to deliver recommendations on a daily basis. The data warehouse is dead.
Yeah.
What happens? So what are, what are the common failures here?
For example, data warehouse is dead. Or the data is stuck and is not updated. The new offers did not come. The old offers did not go out. The campaign starts, to flood clients with multiple messages. The right clients do not receive the messages. The offer content somehow ruined, So, for example, like different price points somehow appears, or different gigabytes appear. So everything, what you can dream of, everything can happen, And actually, from my lifetime experience, so I was launching the first NBO project. It was huge because we were working a lot on the data preparation and so on and so forth, and all of these, steps had to be considered. And that telco was very hardly working on offer catalog and so on and so forth. But eventually, one day came and we said, okay, we will launch from 1st of February. And a few days before that, okay, let's check one more time. And we found out that finance department changed some categorization of the revenue and all of the data regarding money from the client perspective was 0. So we were like, okay, stop, on hold, and reprocess the data to get it correctly. And this whole process, let's say, in order to avoid these disasters, of course, somebody needs to take care of this process, but this process needs to be, decorated with multiple tests. And when the process is automated, it is easy to perform tests, gather results from these tests, and actually improve. When some of the telcos are running the NBOs, but they are performed on a manually basis. So their tests are not available. Basically, in each manual operation, you may make mistakes.
I can add an anecdotal situation on that. So my father got a text message from a telco which says, hey, we have a great new device for you with an amazing price, etc. And he was like calling me, hey, I got great offer, I am going to purchase my new device. He's going to the point of sale and they say, oh, sorry, we're out of stock. We can't get that nowhere in Lithuania. So why does this happen,
Yeah, so it is, it is very easy for telco to sell products that do not have stock, right? So the plan is air, let's say like that. But devices, accessories, TV sets, phones, the computers, the stock must be incorporated. And there may be a very simple ways to solve it. Let's say to build a for catalog that would check, if the stock exists. And there may be additional improvements, like to check that the stock would be enough for the particular target base, and so on and so forth. So forecast the acceptance of the offers, and so on and so forth. So there are no boundaries, in this NBO projects. So you can dig deeper and deeper, and yeah.
So before wrapping up this topic, what would be your kind of wish for the telcos who are starting their NBO journey?
Good luck. I would wish good luck, but as I said, I really believe let's say that these kind of projects are bringing win-win situations, both for telco and both for end customer.
Okay. So we are at the final stage of our interview. We are switching the topic right now. So over your career, could you remember the moment that you were the most proud of, or the project that you were most proud of?
So most probably this first project that I mentioned, it was very big, complicated, and launched from zero to big delivery. The client
what
was...
What is the definition of big for you?
Big, I define not with death rate somehow, but with a period of time and people that were working in this project. So I think it took around 2 years.
2 years.
But we actually started from really zero, like from data things. And we were working 10 people there, 10 people. But like not all the time, full time, but basically main core of people were 10. And they were having different, let's say, responsibilities, as I said, a lot of. So yeah, that was the first, but why I am so proud about it, at Execaster it was not the first project. We have launched before a few, so I've collected the know-how, what other teams did, and I think I did it in the best way. At that moment, at the best way.
Okay. So what was the result? Because you said before that it was nothing. So I assume that some team were, I don't know, using Excel sheets.
Yes, exactly. Dots. Yeah, so they were using Excel sheets, running monthly campaigns, which means just because of the manual work. And they were uploading these big, mapping the offers. They were uploading these big Excels to some platform that was struggling to accept these big Excel sheets because a lot of information had to be added additionally. And Excel has limitations, like at least in row count. If you have a base of more than 1 million, sorry, Excel does not work. And a lot of, let's say, that team, the team that was running that process manually was called CVM, I think, managers or campaign managers. And they were like rotating all the time because it is quite stressful. You need to launch the products, the offers at a particular day, and if you're late, everyone is screaming, because the agents do not have offers, the SMS are not sent, the emails are not sent, and then it, of course, reflects into the general KPIs of the telco. So that team was like, before this project was launched, was rotating half a year, and guys, I know. it's too much of a stress. So we calculated how much hours of the manual job we save, I think yearly. It was around 1,500 manual hours to run the NBO process manually.
Wow.
And people, when they're running process manually with these crashing Excel sheets, they cannot think about the business logic or customer expectations. They just, working as robots and trying not to miss deadlines, which is very stressful.
Okay, so what did they do afterwards?
They have a lot of imagination, let's say, what to do. But basically, these people were the ones that we were working also together. And they were making sure that the business strategy that they are responsible for is implemented. And when we launched the automatical NBO, data-driven NBO, personalized NBO for the clients, they were validating the results and commenting this must be a change to that part, this to that part, and we were aligning how to deal it in a best way.
Okay, so essentially you enabled them to do the real business work.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a success story. Can you share with us some of your failures that you are now happy to laugh at?
Happy or shy to expose my shame, let's say. But we started these projects and basically working with Execaster customer data platform there. And there was like a great wish, my wish to incorporate AI. And for one of the South America telcos, I said, okay, I need to create something fancy, and I wanted to forecast the expected demand from the client. The South America actually is focused on the prepaid sector overall because their, let's say, money allowance, let's say, I don't know how to say it, more frequent salaries are paid, and they do not have a lot of cash in the pocket at the moment. So the prepaid is one of the biggest segment there, and the prepaid of course have different duration packages. So 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and there were like the most popular packages 1-2 days. And I said, that's strange. There are a lot of people who are using phone whole month without any interruptions. So why not to offer a 30 days package for them? And my AI algorithm segmented the users, the ones who should receive these 30 days packages. But when we compared with the actual situation, let's say, financial situation of the clients, we identified that that's not really possible. And if they would be able to pay a big package for 1 month, upfront, most probably they would be not in the prepaid but in the postpaid. So I've spent, some time in modeling, and actually all of this result went to trash bin. It was exciting, but not very useful.
Okay. Sounds like a good lesson to do the reality check before investing a lot.
Yeah. It most probably this wish, let's say, or recommendation to try step by step would make more sense than investing a lot in AI algorithms that cannot be used. And by launching, testing, measuring, improving, we could do that faster than in 2 months.
Okay. And the last question, Egle, for you. Could you recommend a book or movie that would help us to better understand your work?
Mm-hmm. As I said, I have quite bad memory, so I do not recall the name of the book. But actually, I got this recommendation from you, Egidius, so maybe you can help me with. So that book represents the mindset of the product owner, let's say, how the product should be created and what a client expects from that particular product. So a general idea that each of the service or product needs to fulfill particular jobs that the customer expects to.
So I assume you're talking about jobs to be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Egle. It was a really interesting conversation.
Thank you, Egidius.
Thank you for listening to CVM Stories. If you enjoyed the show, please leave us a review. You can also ask us a question about a particular customer value management challenge you have at work. We will happily ask our experts to tackle your challenge in a future episode.